Hey lovely people, welcome to part 2 of my one-to-one chat with myself. I thought I'd offer you a picture today because I've done so much audio so far. I thought I'd give you my face for a change. In part 1 I was talking about the introduction in What Would Love Say, and I'm going to continue with that today. These videos are really just my opportunity to share with you my thoughts, how the book's helping me to have a happier life, to understand myself more. And that is, after all, why we invest in this stuff, isn't it? To feel better, to have a more fulfilled life, to live more harmoniously, and to understand our thoughts and feelings and, what's going on up here. So many people that I speak to don't have that understanding, and that's fine, but I feel, for me personally, understanding the internal dialogue, understanding the voices, the two energies that I have available to me, love and fear, is really helping me in my life, and I hope that it's helping you too. So if you enjoy these videos and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. This week I'm giving away full digital versions of the book. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll receive the link to download the full digital version of the book on Friday. So I'm going to continue from kind of where I left off in part 1, where I was talking about the visual that we get offered, the mountain, which is a metaphor for life, really. And I think I got up to the part where the book's talking about missing a step and falling on the mountain exertion. And really that is life, isn't it? We all fall sometimes, but the important thing is that we get back up again. And the important thing is that we learn to use the experience as a lesson. And then the next time we fall down, we think, okay, I'm going to do this a different way next time. And that's really what the book's reminding us. So the next sentence in this is, you may trip, but the chances are you won't go down. You will have learnt from the previous choice, and soon, by the time you reach the top of the mountain, the next mountain you choose to climb will be a much easier excursion. You will pack accordingly. You will pick the correct footwear. You will plan your food and water intake and become accustomed to the ground variations you will likely encounter. This is life. And it really is life, isn't it? It's about having the courage to carry on, even when it gets a bit shitty, even when things present themselves in our lives and we have to face these big challenges, and we all have to face them. And I was speaking in my little WhatsApp group this morning about how we chose everything before we came here. This is my belief, obviously my understanding from being a QHHT practitioner, how as a soul we chose, I believe, the majority of our experiences before we came here, our mum, our dad, our relationships, the things that we are going to be exposed to in order to learn. And I see in my, regression sessions all the time how there is this beautiful journey of people having life experiences that the soul chose before they came here, because they haven't had an experience like that before. Oftentimes I see this, and it's soul evolution. The soul doesn't choose to regurgitate experiences that it's learnt from, and that's why it's so important for us to learn from the things we go through and see them as lessons. See this place as a great big school, and understand how important it is that every time we go through something challenging, we see it as a lesson. And I know that it's not always easy to do that immediately when we're going through that big thing. We're really just going through it. We're having the emotions and we're doing our best to navigate the experience. But I personally feel it's really important when we're ready to look back on that challenge and to say, yeah, I did learn. I am a new version of myself. A new aspect of me was created simply because I went through something that I haven't gone through before. And this is what the book is talking about. It's talking about using those previous experiences that you've gone through as a way to navigate and negotiate future experiences. And that's kind of like, I suppose, picking the correct footwear. It's planning. It's using our knowledge and our learning and our wisdom and carrying it forward in one way or another, making it valuable, even though it may have been really, really painful. And, you know, human beings, we go through a lot of pain. And I believe also that when we're going through pain, that's when we're learning the most. It might not always feel that way, but I know for me personally, when I look back on painful things that I've gone through in my life, I can see the growth much more clearly. The next sentence from the introduction is, "This book may be your strategy for navigating life. You can view this book as your roadmap and your guide. I cannot make you read this book, as I cannot make you live with intention, but I can offer you some critical aspects for living a peaceful and harmonious life." And again, you know, that is what I believe this book is offering everyone who chooses to read it, everyone who chooses to listen to the audio. It's offering you critical information, and that information comes down to understanding yourself. And unless we begin to understand ourselves, then life is going to be chaotic. It's going to be confusing, because every time we go through a challenge, we're not going to be able to a degree, predict our behaviour. And I feel like that's something that I've learned a lot from the book. I can kind of predict my behaviour a lot more now. I know when I need to take time out. I know when I need to, as the book calls it, sit on the bridge, which is forgiveness. I have to forgive myself for feeling the wobble and relax and really just know that this is a moment in time and that it won't last forever. And I don't need to let it take me down. In the past, when I've struggled with depression, which I have twice in my life, I've had 2 very deep bouts of depression. And I believe that depression was because I didn't understand myself. I wasn't able to some degree, disconnect from the internal dialogue of fear and the part of me that was real, my real self, my loving self. And I got totally bogged down with the feelings of fear, anxiety, worrying about the future, worrying about where I was going to go in my life. And instead of being in the moment with those feelings and being able to dissect them, understand them, take a step back from them, I didn't. I totally immersed myself in that darkness. which of course was meant to happen, because I don't believe I'd have written this book otherwise, because I wouldn't have had an understanding of why it was important. If I'd lived a life without that experience, then maybe I wouldn't have gravitated towards wanting to learn more about myself. So again, you know, it's a massive lesson, isn't it? So the next sentence is, and I do love this, the most crucial point I will raise is that only two emotions coexist within your world: love and fear. Wow. I know when I was receiving the book, I was like, what the heck? Only two emotions? No, there's not. There's loads of them. And as soon as I had that question in my mind, the voice that I was working with when I was receiving the book helped me to understand what that sentence means. And I'll be honest, it took a while for me to really understand it and appreciate the truth of it. And I was questioning it. I was like, no, there's not more than two emotional states. Of course there's not. That's ridiculous. And then when I started to understand what that meant, really, the fact that what it means by two emotions is that all of the positive emotions, all of the good feelings that we have, joy, empathy, happiness, fulfillment, they're all love-based because they're good feelings. They come from your heart, they come from here, which means that they've got the foundational energy of love. And all of the other feelings, the other emotions like guilt, shame, envy, resentment, anger, they're all fear-based emotions. And they come from the fear that you're not loved. So I am taking this on a little bit, but that is really, you know, if you've read the book and you're investing in it right now, you know that understanding. It's the premise for the whole book. The only reason you ever experience fear is because it's guiding you towards understanding the truth that you're loved. And every single fear comes from the place of you believing in that moment that you're not loved. But we are loved, aren't we? You know, we're loved by the energy that created us. God, Source, the Creator, whatever you want to call that energy is love. Can't be anything else. And because we're created from it, we're also love. But we have the opportunity of experiencing fear, the ego, the bird. And the reason for that is so that we can gravitate towards understanding this. We can gravitate towards understanding those two energies that are present in our life. And I certainly feel like this is a massive thing that's helped me, that when I have an emotion, if it is, you know, if I'm feeling angry, then I take a moment to delve a little bit deeper into why I'm feeling angry, because I know it's coming from fear. Why am I feeling angry? What's triggered that feeling? And I look at it and I think, okay, I'm angry right now with that person, for example. Why am I angry with that person? I'm angry with them because I feel like they're not listening to me. I feel like they're not understanding me right now. That makes me feel angry. Why do I feel angry? Because I feel like they're not offering me love. I feel like in this moment, because they're not understanding me, they're not offering me love. I don't feel their love right now. So when I've got to that part, I'll sit and I'll go, okay, is this true? Does this person not love me? Chances are they do. But if I can't get to that place where I feel like the love is available from them, then I do the deeper piece of work. Then I'll close my eyes and I'll remember it doesn't matter if in this moment I don't feel that person's love. I can connect to something bigger. And I close my eyes and I literally visualize this beautiful stream of light coming down and entering into the top of my head. And I'll allow myself to feel it. I'll allow myself to kind of know that this beautiful stream of light is coming through me. And that stream of light, that feeling is love. And in that moment, I was being kind to myself and I chose to connect to it. I chose to take that moment to really go, oh, okay, you're here for me, aren't you? Yeah, I can feel you and I know that feeling and I let it fill my heart. I can feel myself doing it now. I let it fill my heart. I let it be the truth of me. And once I've allowed the feeling, the intention of love to flow through me from source energy, it gives me everything that I need to then go on and appreciate the experience that I've just had. And when I feel ready, then I'll either speak to that person or I may not need to. I'll just have the understanding in my own mind that the love was available to me. And I know this may sound like a bit of a fantasy, but I promise you, if you try it, it does work. I wouldn't be on here talking about it if I didn't feel that it worked, if I didn't know it worked. It really does. And just having that understanding that the loving energy is always with you, regardless of whether the people around you are offering you what you need, you can get it from elsewhere. You can walk with it. You can take it with you. It follows you. It's in your life and you can access it whenever you want to. I mean, that's really cool, isn't it? So the next sentence from the introduction is, every source of experience, every moment of realization, and every sanctuary of existence will be held within one of these two spaces, which again is just basically confirming what I just offered, that we can be in either of these energies at any given moment in time. We're gonna be in one of them. It's impossible to not be in one of them. You're either in fear energy or you're in love energy. And this is an interesting thing, that lots of people get a bit kind of uncomfortable with using the word love, and certainly from, you know, saying or receiving love from another person, maybe someone that I don't know particularly well. I tell people I love them all the time, and sometimes their face is a bit like, are you sure? And I'm like, because love is something that we can offer, and when we're in love, we're out of fear. When we're in fear, we're out of love. So basically, being in love energy, literally being understanding, being kind, being compassionate, just being yourself out of fear is being in loving energy. So if you think about when you move through your life during a normal day, if you choose to be conscious of living those moments then what you'll recognize is the feeling that you're in at any moment. You can relate that back to the dialogue. What are you thinking about? Are your thoughts fear thoughts? Are they anxious? Are they driven by anxiety? Or are they the other type of thought? Are they driven by everything's cool, everything's fine, I'm absolutely okay right now? That in itself is just peace. That in itself is just being. And you can really, once you start to kind of think about the moments that you travel through in a day, you can really start to understand what energy you're in. You know, you really do realize, oh, okay, I'm in fear right now. What do I need to do to come out of fear? Well, I do need to be in the opposite energy, but I'm not sure I can do that right now. I feel a bit wobbly. What do? I put myself on the bridge. The bridge is the moment. It's the space. It's the breath. The bridge is the opportunity to take time out when you don't feel like you can go forward, when you know you're in fear, you've recognized that energy, you feel uncomfortable, you're having a wobble, you can't quite get to love because that feels like too much of a stretch. Forgiveness is love, but it feels like less of a step. So if you choose forgiveness, if in that moment you say to yourself, okay, shit, I'm having a wobble, I'm going to take a breath, I'm not going to move anywhere right now, I'm not going to have a conversation, I'm not going to flip out, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to breathe. I know this is uncomfortable, I know I don't feel good right now, but I'm going to give myself a moment. And that's the bridge. You know, we use the word forgiveness as attachment to the bridge, but really all it is a pause. It's you offering yourself a moment before you step on, before you go any further at all. So it says here that the key to living a harmonious and fruitful life is to choose love over fear, to learn love over fear, and to be love over fear. And I really love the be love over fear, because for me what that feels like is being the example. Be the example of loving energy, you know, and that doesn't have to be going around giving strangers cuddles or telling everyone that you bump into that you love them. It doesn't have to be that. It's just being love in yourself, carrying that, feeling it, expressing it. And I do this shit all the time. I do it when I'm on my own. I'm like, I'm in loving energy. I am loving energy because I know how that flows out into the world. You know, I know my neighbours feel it. I know the dog feels it. I know the people around me feel it because I'm just expressing loving energy. I am not in fear. Obviously, sometimes I'm in fear because it would be silly if I wasn't, because I'm learning too. Don't think that, you know, I don't get the fear energy in me, because I do. But now I know more about releasing it quickly or more quickly. Some days it's more difficult than others, but that's just part of learning, isn't it? You know, I'm not saying for 1 second that I've got this completely sorted, that I've cracked the code, because I haven't. But I am living with the intention of cracking the code. I'm living with the intention of doing my absolute best each day to just be in loving energy. And you know, to be in love is to be out of fear. To be out of fear is to be in love. And that is just, what better way is there to live with this being a conscious part of your everyday? When you get up in the morning, and like I said in part one, when I put my feet on the carpet in the morning and when I go to bed at night, I'm really thankful, I'm really grateful that I'm learning this stuff. I'm really grateful that it's been offered to me, and I'm really grateful that I can share it and offer it to you too. So that's the next paragraph in the introduction. I'm going to leave it here now, and I'm going to talk more about the second paragraph in the introduction in part one. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I'm sending you all of my love as always.